was trapped in melancholy with the wood ones, a holly suggestions that obliterate to camouflage the folly. Attempted mental robbery, executed sloppily. The papacy, this mockery, and walk the talk with me. Put the hands up to touch the akasha, cause you know deep down there's something bigger than your wallet.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Somehow, through the Eyes Open network that was, and through the panels and the roundtables and all sorts of madness, my guest tonight has never been on Rogueways one-on-one before, and it is about time that he has come on to Rogueways. So let's welcome the red-blooded, the red-necked, and the red-eyed warrior who will whoop your ass in a history of the oppressed trivia battle and will agitate the fuck out of your political state, the creator and master of Slow News Day, the tireless voice of the people, and the man who should be the front-runner for the Democrats instead of the tired and salty bunch they've got. Steve Poikonen, it is a pleasure to have you here tonight. How the fuck are you doing?
I am doing fantastic, Lindsay. Thank you for having me on. Real quick, though, I am a delegate for Libertarian candidate for president Adam Kokesh this year. Yeah.
Oh,
his platform is to abolish the federal government within 72 hours after freeing political prisoners. So I can get behind that.
Yes, that is awesome.
So I will actually be in Austin, Texas over Memorial Day weekend for the convention there.
Wow, I didn't even know they had a convention.
Me either. I thought it was held at like an Arby's or some shit, but apparently apparently they party down. So I just narrowly missed going to the California convention because I was in DC.
Wow. Well, you have so much going on. That is so exciting. And Libertarian is much more fitting. I love it. But before we jump into shit tonight, I want to tell people that you can get more from me outside of this YouTube channel on my site, rogueways.org. While you're there, you can find a tarot reading if you're into tarot and you would like some guidance in your life. You can buy my book right now. You can get them on Amazon, but you can get it straight direct from me and save some shipping and some tax money, and also get a nice inscription from the author in your book. So if you are down to buy Sine Curve of Aeons, then you can get it directly from me. That's through PayPal. You would just send me $15, and that link is on my site, but it's also paypal.me/Corey Sharman, which is hard to spell, so probably going to my site is a better way to do it. Also, right now, if you subscribe on subscribestar.com/rogue-ways, you can get a free copy of Sine Curve. So if you're into that, that is the best way to support me. And there's all sorts of goodies there that are additional and extra beyond what you get on YouTube or my site, that's just exclusive for subscribers. So go check that out. There's lots of cool stuff there, including audiobooks. And that is the end of my spiel. One last reminder, and then I'm going to stop telling you guys that the podcast is back. Lots of people have found it, and so I'm glad that that is revived from the dead. And so, Steve, I wanted to ask you the pointless question of the episode today. Is what is your favorite Pokemon?
Oh, goodness.
Do you want to punch me now?
I actually don't have one. So clearly I have a funny last name.
And I don't know how to spell it apparently.
And I'm 41 years old. So I was already out of the target age demographic when it became a thing.
Yeah, it was like just after us.
Yeah. and so the whole resurgence of it with the whole video game and shit a few years back, like I never got into it. I guess my favorite one would be I like the Rocket Twins. Is that a Pokemon?
Yeah, we'll make it a Pokemon for you.
The two twins that are just out to fuck over the little guy in the America hat.
I don't even know what we're talking about, but I love it.
Those are my favorite. They are not actual Pokemon, just the evil twins that they're always fighting. Because otherwise, it's just an episode about people running around trying to fucking catch mystical creatures.
True.
You don't get a lot of longevity out of that. So I'm in it for the adversary.
I was surprised they got a movie out of it. It's kind of amazing. It's like the Emoji Movie. I feel like they can do
anything. They made a fucking Emoji Movie. They made an Angry Birds movie.
Yeah, true. That's crazy. Oh my God.
Hollywood. Totally out of ideas, but ready to fuck your children.
Yes. That is their best idea. They're like, we just need to keep this going so we can get more kids here. Oh,
Right?
God. I don't have a favorite either because I don't know any of them, but I'm just going to say Charizard because I know that name for some reason.
Oh, you know what? I follow someone on Twitter who is like the Toad Lady. So I know that there's a Bulbasaur. A Bulbasaur is a Pokemon because it's a toad-looking thing. So for the sake of her,
I'll
I'll
just
say
say
that
that.
that's my favorite one. Yeah.
That's excellent. And there's like a whole group of people now who's going to hear this and be like, fuck these two. They don't even know.
You out of touch pieces of shit.
Even my students didn't enlighten me, so I don't even know who these people are who love Pokemon so much. But anyways, moving on. What do you think should happen with the Democratic nomination for president?
So in a perfect world, at least as far as 2020 is concerned, the Democrats will do what they did in 2016, which is completely fuck Bernie Sanders out of yet another chance to go to the general election.
You think so?
Well, it's been publicly advertised since 2017. They had this unity conference right after Trump got inaugurated, or like during January 2017. And coming out of that, Tom Perez, the DNC chair, said, we're going to field more candidates in 2020 than the Republican Party did in 2016. We're going to change around the way we do caucuses. We eliminated 20% of the superdelegates, but we're keeping them and they'll come into play on the second round if by some crazy chance we have a contested convention. Fielding as many candidates as they did basically guarantees a contested convention. Bernie Sanders needs 1,901 delegates in order to have a majority and go and avoid going to a second round where the superdelegates can come and play. That is virtually mathematically impossible.
Because of how many people they had?
And because the ones that are still in it are pulling delegates, and the ones that have already dropped out that have delegates are going to broker them on the floor of the convention for a cush appointment. Pete Buttigieg, CIA Pete, the reason I got smeared in the Daily Beast and by Tim Pool. I don't even know if you know about that.
No, you got smeared by Tim Pool? I didn't know
and I got smeared in the Daily Beast.
Oh my God, you're so like...
Which
you're
Chelsea
so...
Clinton sits on the board of. I'm super proud of that,
Dude,
actually.
seriously, you're big time now.
But Pete Buttigieg just dropped out of the race fairly unexpectedly today.
Yeah, and he was like the perfect, like, what do they call him? I loved it. The Lego candidate. It was like all the best parts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a mashup of him next to Barack Obama, and they're giving a speech, and it's almost the exact same fucking speech. Like, even the cadence is spot fucking on.
They just have the same overlords feeding them little tidbits that they're just like pooping out.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot of Obama's consultants and a lot of Obama's money people had backed his campaign. But I would imagine that with his background as a naval intelligence officer, that he would be using the delegates he's already won to like angle for a job as Secretary of the Navy or Secretary of Defense, or possibly Secretary of the Tastefully Decorated Interior. I think that would be an ideal. Maybe Chasten, his husband, can get Secretary of the Tastefully Decorated Interior.
Why do I feel like we need to like get Santorum in there somehow and like, I don't know.
Oh my God. You know what would be great? You know how they make those fucking candidates go to like the stupid publicity breakfast with like Al Sharpton and whatnot? Like you have to go to like Harriet's Cafe in Harlem or DC or something like that. You have to, if you're a Democrat, you have to sit down with Al Sharpton and people have to watch you eat.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking weird thing. It really is. But if you could get, because Buttigieg is a super Christy guy, if you get like him and Santorum at a prayer breakfast and have them like arm wrestle or some shit,
dude,
I'd pay $5 for that.
Yes.
I'd go eat bad pancakes for
These
that.
are the kinds of things that could revitalize the Democratic Party. Not that we want.
I hope it dies, Lindsay. I do.
know.
I hope it dies. I'm certain that they're going to do everything they can to screw Sanders out of the nomination. When they do, I hope that enough of his fans are angry enough to like take to the streets and do something about it, because the only way we're going to get any sort of legitimate electoral system is if we right now surround every single fucking polling station and say nobody gets to vote until we have free and fair elections.
That would be more fair, or even better if we could have like a third party. I don't know, that might be neat. But the thing
I'd settle for a second party at this point. I would.
Yeah, seriously. No joke. Because the thing that was weird for me is that Bernie, came back from that last, 2016. He showed up with his little like black eye or whatever, and he's looking or seeming like maybe he was kind of like ruffled or scared. And then since then, he's had like some things that he's proposed that were not in line with what he used to be about, it seems like. So it seems like he changed somewhat. So I had this idea that maybe they like got to him and that then he had like changed enough that they're making it seem like he's having to fight for it and that it might not happen, but really they want him in because now he's doing their bidding at some level. This is the conspiracy theorist in me.
I hear this a lot because I get in a lot of arguments with Bernie Sanders supporters, especially since I started doing the Free Assange vigils. Which, if you're not doing anything on Wednesday nights and you're watching right now, from 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific till whenever the fuck we wrap up, co-host a weekly online vigil in support of Julian Assange, Chelsea Manning, and other whistleblowers worldwide.
And you can find that on Slow News Day on YouTube?
Yeah, it streams on Slow News Day. It streams on the Action for Assange YouTube channel. And then through Action for Assange, it restreams on Periscope, Twitch, Facebook Live through people of the 99%, Jason Carney, my good friend.
Smart.
And a couple other places, I believe. Oh, and we're getting ready to launch on Rockfin.
Oh, rad. Wait, what's that? Rocket?
Rockfin is a crypto-based platform.
Oh, cool.
That was the guy who used to run, I think, ESPN's like whole social media division.
Wow.
Came up with a concept for the anti-YouTube, where creators get paid based on what they produce, not necessarily on the amount of clicks that are generated from it. So if you are cranking out the content, you're part of a network. Like Action for Assange also streams with, I think, a couple of Nico House's channels, Ron Placone's channel, and a couple others that are in like the progressive lefty sphere.
Yeah.
And so you get, if you buy a subscription to Rockfin, then you get access to X amount of creators. And all of their premium content then becomes your I paid for this thing content. Cool. And then the creators get paid in cryptocurrency.
Oh, that's neat.
It really is, man. I'm learning about it. It's been something that's on the periphery for me for about 6 months now. And we finally started to move forward with it. So I'll definitely let you know how it's working in case you want to like say fuck you to YouTube, or you can also stay on YouTube.
I figure
in case you want, an alternative.
Yeah, I figure I'll stay until I can't for some reason, because this is still where like the majority of people are. Not that any of them can find anything good anymore, or like whatever, but stay there as long as I can, but also be like multi-streaming onto other platforms when possible and whatever, just to help support that and see if it can take off. And I like DLive. I hope that continues to grow. This project sounds cool, so I think it's good to be like also doing those things. But yeah, that sounds rad.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I tried BitChute, and then I found out that H.A. Goodman was responsible for it. And I was less inclined to participate with H.A. Goodman. He's a disingenuous hack. And I say that with all possible love.
Yes.
I do. But no, I mean, he's a content creator. He was around. He was like a huge fucking pants-shitting Bernie Sanders supporter, and went from that to huge pants-shitting Trump supporter. And is now like basically existing to make sure that people seem sane by comparison, I think, is what the ultimate goal is. Not entirely sure. But it's a weird platform to navigate. Sam Tripoli was the one who turned me on to it and wanted me to become a part of it. And it's not as easy or useful, or there just aren't the eyes on it that there could be. So I haven't done much with it.
It was BitChute, and then there's DTube that I was also like posting stuff to just randomly, but it's not something that I can restream to, and so it doesn't get much attention from
The
me.
amount of shit that we have to put ourselves through as content creators just to try and get our stuff out there, when like 6-7 years ago, your show would be one of the top 10 or 20 shows on YouTube.
Thank you.
Just based on who you interview, what you talk about, and what you cover, like hands down, it would be.
Thanks.
But because we're so algorithmically censored, and because there's so much pressure on YouTube through Google to only air what fits the establishment narrative, it makes it significantly harder for people like us who are putting out post-partisan factual information to thrive in that kind of sandbox.
Absolutely. And people really underestimate all the various ways in which we're like targeted and fucked with. One of the ways that is the least obvious that people don't notice is that, you know, our subscribers will be just unsubscribed without them even knowing. And so if you're not actively like, I want to listen to Steve today, I'm going to go find, you know, Slow News Day. I found myself unsubscribed from your channel. Like, this shit happens all the time as well. And then, you know, there's just so many various ways in which it's suppressed, and it's ridiculous. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it'd be a lot easier back in the day, even as much as
like on a fairly regular basis.
What happened?
Oh, you're breaking, unless that's me.
I don't know.
I lost a big chunk of that.
Just keep going, man.
I don't know if my internet sucks or your internet sucks, but somebody's internet sucks.
Mine says that my connection is poor, but I don't know. Keep going.
At any rate, at any rate, like I've watched people subscribe to the show, and for about every 15 to 20 people that click the subscribe button, YouTube will let me keep one or two.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back like a week later and unsub about 300 people.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have the numbers to get that many unsubscribes, but I do see people unsubscribed. And sometimes they'll tell you, they're like, on this day, we're going to unsubscribe a bunch of people. And you're like, why? And they're like, it's bots. And I'm like, why would you even care? Even if there were that many bots, like, why would you give a fuck? How does it affect you? Like, just let it fucking go, man. Like, whatever. I don't know.
Right? Or at least get some bots that watch all the fucking commercials so I can get that like 2.5 pennies,
yes.
You know?
Oh, and this is the other thing I've learned. I went and I talked to the guy because I was like, where the fuck is all this? People have given me super chats and all this, some of them very generous super chats. And I've been like, wow, how do I actually get this money? To get it, you have to jump through all these fucking ridiculous hoops. Besides that, once you've jumped through all those hoops, they're like, we'll give you the money once you get to this cutoff amount. And then you get to that amount and they're like, oh, maybe we'll give it to you, whatever. It'll like take like 2 months to post to your account. Any time within that time, if they decide that your content has like violated rules, which they're super arbitrary, they just take that money. I don't even know if it goes back to the people who gave it, because how could we ever communicate about it and figure it out? There's no direct messaging in YouTube. So like, I'm turning off super chats and shit. Oh shit, I was supposed to do that yesterday. I'm going to do it soon. Anyway, so that YouTube can't just take all this money, because fuck them.
I had to write YouTube like 3 or 4 times a week, every week, for the better part of like 3.5 months to get them to release the funds that they were holding.
Oh my God.
And they only responded to me twice, and they had a different reason for why they were holding my funds both times. It was like, hey, I live like an hour and 10 minutes away from your headquarters. Yeah. Can I just stop by?
Just get a check.
I'll come by and we can talk this out and I'll pick up a check. Yeah. Is that something we could do? And literally 48 hours later, they released the funds.
They're like, oh shit, he's going to come.
But it took
scared them.
Fucking... Yeah, but it took... I don't think they like drop-ins. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that's what it took. It took like almost, at least 3, almost 4 months. It took me writing them 3 or 4 times a week. And it took me basically saying, I'll show up at your fucking doorstep, buddy. before they actually released my funds, which really sucked, by the way. It was fucking, I had plans for that cash.
Yeah, yeah. And if people don't know, I think most people like us put this money back into either the show or the products we're creating, or like for you, I'm guessing you put it into some of the travel you're doing, which is amazing. It sounds awesome. And I would love.
I was actually able to take a couple $100 in the super chats and put it into the GoFundMe that we had for the DC and London trips. So Action for Assange started out as in the wake of a show that was called Unity for Jay. And it was a post-partisan conversation about, the persecution of Julian Assange as a human being, but the precedent that his extradition to the United States would set for the future of journalists going forward. And that would be that any publisher, journalist, or outlet that is considered a public disclosure outlet, anyone involved in that printed something that the government found was, not within the confines of the information that they were releasing, would be able to be charged under the Espionage Act. Now, that's me. That's you. That's like pretty much everyone we know is a fucking three-dimensional public disclosure outlet.
Yeah. We're just people who talk.
Yeah. And so that concerns me very much. I know there's people that have varying degrees of opinion on Julian Assange, but regardless of what you think about him as a person, the precedent set through, charging him and by extension WikiLeaks, it's a death knell to whatever veneer of free speech we have left. Absolutely. Going on in this country. So we started Action for Assange, and that's what we wanted to do with it. We didn't want it to be like a couple of people sit around talking about this. We wanted to, do whatever we could to bring this into the public sphere. We found out the dates for Julian's extradition hearing, and it's split into 2 segments. So the first one just happened this past week. The next one starts in May, and it lasts for 3 weeks.
Do you want to just like maybe explain briefly why there even is an extradition hearing and what the sort of fuckery with that is? Because I know most people know, but just like give us a rundown. I know like basically they were like, oh, he raped a lady. And even though the lady was like, no, he didn't. They're like, yeah, he did. And we got to get him.
So that's actually totally irrelevant to why he's being extradited in the U.S.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's being extradited under the Espionage Act.
Oh, right.
17 charges under the Espionage
the rape
Espionage
thing was
Act.
Like how they were trying to get him to the UK out of the fucking, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of documentation on that too. That it was basically the UK government and the US government twisting Sweden's arm,
fully
saying,
contrived,
make this happen.
Yeah.
And it was to the point to where an investigation was opened, then closed, then opened, then closed, then reopened, and then finally closed for the last time without a single charge ever having been filed.
Jesus.
0 charges were filed.
It's so transparent.
The 2 witnesses that they brought forth both recanted. The one that was supposedly providing like concrete DNA evidence. I've got a condom and I'll bring it to you. They test the condom. It has no DNA on it whatsoever. Not
just
hers,
wiped
not
it on
his,
like a cat.
Not anyone. I guess so. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure most people don't Windex a condom when they're done.
Yeah,
Inside and outside, but 0 DNA was found on the one that was tested. 100% contrived. There's an email that was pulled out of the global intelligence files, the Stratfor leaks.
Was that Jeremy Hammond?
That is Jeremy Hammond, and I'll get to Jeremy Hammond in a second because
he used to be my pen pal.
Oh yeah. Well, we just went to the jail where he's incarcerated on Wednesday.
It makes me so sad.
Both him and Chelsea Manning are in the exact same detention center in Northern Virginia.
And I don't even want to know what they're doing to them because I'm sure it's fucked up.
Solitary mostly,
God
which we know is a form of torture.
Pure torture.
But so what Julian is being charged for is the release of the 2010 Afghan war diaries, the collateral murder video, and the Afghan war logs, which is something the Obama administration had drawn up a secret warrant for. That got leaked. The Obama administration backed off because of something they called the New York Times precedent, which is what we just talked about. It would allow the U.S. government to go after any outlet. And mind you, Julian Assange is an Australian citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen. This is the United States government.
Which should be all you really need to know, actually.
Yeah, using the United States Espionage Act to go after a publisher from a foreign country. And targeting an outlet that has a 100% accuracy rate. WikiLeaks has never had to redact a single word or line.
Unlike every other source, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, especially CNN, which has, I think, the worst track record, but they're like opposites.
I tried to do a comparison, and I found out that from like 2012 to 2018, the New York Times had to retract or edit with corrections something like 44,000 stories.
Dude, and no one ever hears the retraction of the edit. They just hear the initial thing and they just take it as gospel. It's fucked up.
Yeah, because okay, so my theory about this, and I'm actually going to write a book about it, and I found a publisher of all places in Annapolis, Maryland, at the bar where a buddy of mine who I hadn't seen in almost 20 years was playing, and we just happened to happenstance. I get a hold of my friend Brent. He's like, yeah, I'm playing in Annapolis. You should come see me. So we do, and my partner in Action for Assange, a guy named Andrew Smith, is talking up everyone at the bar. Comes over to the table. He's like, hey, I just found a publisher.
Dude, that's how you know it's supposed to happen. That's rad.
Absolutely. So my theory is, and the subject of the book is manufactured confusion, because in 1989, Noam Chomsky wrote Manufacturing Consent.
Yeah.
And it is now 2020. We are, 30 years removed from that, and consent has been manufactured.
Oh yeah, and it's like a science now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if not before the ink was dry on the Patriot Act, certainly after. The 2012 NDAA that Obama signed that legalized propaganda.
Which people don't even get. And they're like, Obama's the best. I'm like, he was your worst enemy because he talked so pretty and you loved it.
Yeah.
He just slid right in there.
Criticism of Black Jesus. Look, I got called a racist in 2008 because I voted for Cynthia McKinney instead of Barack Obama.
You're racist, but if you didn't vote for Hillary, you're sexist. So
right.
Cynthia McKinney.
People don't realize that Cynthia McKinney is a Black woman.
Oh yeah, she is.
It's not something that connects with people. They hear McKinney and they think she's some Irish broad from New England or something like that.
I forgot.
No, she's a Black woman.
Yeah.
But I got called a racist for voting for her because I didn't support the guy.
You're a very weird kind of racist. It's interesting.
Right? You're right. That's an odd brand of racism. It is. But yeah, the mythology still is that Barack Obama was some kind of humanitarian. He went after more whistleblowers and public disclosure advocates than most of the previous presidents combined.
And more,
you've got to go back.
More brown people around the globe are dead because of him than any other president.
The Mexican president in 2014 called him the deporter in chief.
Yeah, and now we're obsessed with immigration and nobody cared about that then.
Well, and they all think that Democrats want open borders, and I've heard more of them advocate for low-key building a wall than I have advocate for open borders.
Well,
one guy,
they'll say it on a speech or on a debate stage, but when it comes down to their actual policies, it's never in line with any of this shit. But that's the same thing we're just getting back to with this headline shit, or the moment you say it, it's taken as gospel, and you never hear the actual recantation, or you never see the actual deed they did. You never actually look at what they're doing, and then it's all this manufactured consent. It's all created.
So manufactured confusion is what we live in now. It's a media sphere that exists 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, designed to pit us against each other and against our own best interests, to have us just, you know, fighting over the dumbest, most trivial shit,
Yes.
and fighting over social issues that have absolutely nothing to do with, uh, our $1 trillion military budget, for example.
Yeah.
Um, Donald Trump gets called a Putin puppet, like on a routine basis, by a large faction of both Democrats, just, you know, regular fucking Democrats, and people in Congress. But those same Democrats in Congress have supported up to 82% of his agenda.
Yeah.
They voted to reauthorize the Patriot Act, and they voted for that military spending bill. And if you ask them why they gave Vladimir Putin, $782 billion to go make war with US troops, their fucking heads explode. Like, there's no answer for that.
Because no one taught them what to say.
Right? Yeah, no, there isn't they haven't had a focus group on it yet.
Yeah.
Um,
It's true, and
so
this
it's
is
just it's mind-boggling.
yeah, and it's really, I think what you're saying is really important in the conspiracy sphere, because I think a lot of the shit we get caught up in is all distraction, and a lot of it's unimportant as well. And so I think that they know how to play that side as well, really well, really, really well. And I think Trump is sort of like proof of that, where they're like, okay, let's get all these fucking motherfuckers all caught up in this.
I think that one of the most brilliant, and I'm saying brilliant because it is, but it's also horrific and possibly demonic.
Yes.
One of the most brilliant strategies that the intelligence community ever came up with is the whole Q phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because it's counter reinforcing propaganda. Like, the exact same people that are Q followers and the exact same, like, centrist liberal Democrats both think that we should blow up brown people. They both think that we should fucking blow up North Korea. They both think that we should rape the natural resources of Africa. None of them see anything wrong with overthrowing Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela or Evo Morales in Bolivia. We're also involved in active coups in Honduras and Nicaragua right now, but nobody talks about that shit either.
Like that, this should be what's on the news, not like what fucking Trump wore somewhere or whatever the fuck we're talking about today.
So the division and distraction leads to endless confusion, because if you talk to a Q supporter and you're like, your policy positions on the Mideast, on North Korea, and on Africa are identical to Hillary Clinton's. Like, they don't know how to respond, and it's because they're coming at it from such a different angle that understanding the basic policy position that they're advocating is lost in the mix and lost in, like, really funny memes. And fucking it's division and distraction that leads to confusion, that ultimately leads to more global intelligence community rule of not just our country, but most of the rest of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the ultimate endgame of divide and conquer. There's so many like nuanced divisions at this point that it's like this like fractal network of shit where it's like, how do you even get back to the root, like the main lines?
And that's why, I mean, that's one of the reasons that I just fucking love so much what we're doing through Action for Assange, because we went to DC to try and, like, bridge this partisan bullshit, So this is what we did. I'm going to pull it up on the share screen here, and I hope it works.
It should work.
But we found one of the people that came to DC with us brought this flag. And it's a WikiLeaks flag. You can see most of it here.
Yeah.
So I had the idea that we should take it with us to the different events that we went to and have people sign it. Cool. And on this flag is Medea Benjamin from Code Pink's signature and Michael Flynn Jr.'s signature. There's Lee Camp's signature and Enrique Tarrio, the national organizer for the Proud Boys.
Yay!
There's Cassandra Fairbanks And then like Reverend Annie Chambers, who is an activist out of Baltimore, whose brother was Malcolm X's right hand man.
Oh, wow.
Which, by the way, she'll be on Slow News Day in a couple of weeks, and that'll be a fascinating conversation.
How
And I'm
cool.
going to set up a show with her and Enrique Tarrio from the Proud Boys, so
Dude.
that they can have a conversation.
I can't wait because it's really confusing to me why people think the Proud Boys are racist when like that I don't there's nothing about their ideology or actions that is inherently racist, and a lot of them, like one of the guys that has been charged with a hate crime, his wife is black, his kids are black. Like I don't know, it's interesting. So that'll be really cool. You're doing good work, man.
It's thank you, and I appreciate that. It's fucking it's difficult to navigate in such a divided and confused and partisan space as the internet. Um, so we're just going to go as hard as we possibly can and fucking spin as many heads along the way as possible.
It's good because it's like we're saying, like with all that fractalization, it's like hard to get back to the root. It's like people are like overwhelmed with information and all of it's conflicting all of the time, and so it's really hard to sift that all out and sort it. And so it's like anything, you want to have like a lot of grace for people because it's not necessarily anyone's fault if they're like confused about shit. It's definitely not their fault if they're emotional about it because we're like programmed as fuck to just like lash out and fucking attack. And so I mean, not that I'm like always right there in that like space of giving people grace, but I just think it's like a good thing to aspire to. And trying to connect all those disparate seeming people is like a pretty amazing goal.
And I do believe, like I honestly believe that it's achievable, and I honestly believe that there are people out there that are doing similar things to what we're doing with Action for Assange that are helping to make that possible.
That's
We've
cool.
got some incredible shit that's going to be coming to DC in May, late May, early June for the second round of these hearings. Um, and I can probably talk about some of it. Um, we found out in DC that you can apply for and obtain a direct disruption of service permit where you shut down the fucking internet in parts of town.
Weird.
Yeah. So we're going to get, as long as you don't shut down or at least on the permit, you're not shutting down like Department of Homeland Security or hazardous shit like that. You can fucking kill people's internet
Why?
from this time to this time as an act of protest.
Weird.
So
Is this the only place that you can do that?
no, you can do this in like pretty much every major city. You can apply for a direct disruption of service permit.
Have never heard
Doesn't
of that.
mean they'll give it to you, but
Yeah.
it's a thing that you can apply for.
Weird.
So we're going to do that. At the same time that we do that, we're going to have the police, because we had police escorts and DHS escorts with us the entire time that we were holding permitted actions in DC. We're going to have the police shut down a series of roads, or a series of blocks all along one road. And then we're going to, two people are going to show up in the middle of the street. One is going to be wearing a military uniform and carrying a bullhorn. The other one is going to be in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs with a bag over their head. And we're going to set the prisoner down in the middle of the road while the guy in the army uniform reads off the Guantanamo Bay files from the WikiLeaks trial.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully being surrounded by cop cars on all four sides, along with just the image of the prisoner and the soldier, will make for some fucking good theater.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that. I've got an event that I'm working on finalizing the date for at the National Press Club in DC with a panel with Daniel Ellsberg, the guy who broke the Pentagon Papers. Ray McGovern, former CIA analyst, who is one of the founding members, along with Bill Binney and John Kiriakou, veteran intelligence professionals for Sanity. VIPs, they're a great organization. If you're not familiar with them, please check them out. And then we've got two of Julian Assange's stateside legal team that are going to be a part of this panel at all. I've never been to the DC Press Club before. I've seen the outside of it. It's a little intimidating. Um, but I'm gonna try and act like all of this shit isn't way over my head.
Yeah, that's like the best way to handle that shit. I feel like anybody who is like intelligent enough will look at a situation like this and be like, "What the fuck am I doing?" But like if you were an idiot, you would just wander right in and fucking pull it off. So you just gotta like have that same mindset. Just like go
Absolutely.
for it, fake it till you make it, and it's all gonna work out. That's awesome. I like that you have the police working with you too, personally, because that's another division that I don't understand. Because just like any group of people, it's not homogenous and it's not like uniform, and there's a lot of corruption in any, especially government organization. But like there's normal people who become cops and they do it for really good reasons, possibly. But even besides all of that, you want them on your side and shit like this so that they're not going to come beat the shit out of you. Like if they all know ahead of time what you're doing and why and like how it's going to go down, you have a lot better chance of pulling it off, I think, unscathed. So there's a couple good
and
reasons.
also if you coordinate a large scale complicated legal protest that demands the attention of a ton of police officers that at the same time, you know, frees up extra legal activists to continue to go raise hell without, you know, with a much smaller chance of being impeded.
I love it.
So there's going to be like coordinated banner drops and a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time.
Tactical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Smart.
And you can charge 25% more for anything if you add the word tactical to it.
That's true. I really like tactical tarot readings. There we go.
I wrap the cards in paracord.
Yeah. Well, this is all awesome. I want to know, because I know that you, while you were out there, like got into the, I don't know what it was that you went to that had Alex Jones, and was it CPAC?
No, it was right before CPAC kicked off on Thursday night. We did send, I put it in eyes, the picture of the free speech mobile.
Yes.
That has the
has
by now
and...
damn near iconic image of Julian and Chelsea with American flags taped over their mouth.
I love it.
And it says free speech except war crimes. We drove that around CPAC.
That's cool.
All of Thursday night. But the day before, in response to the sentencing of Roger Stone, Alex Jones had organized an emergency free speech summit at the Omni Hotel in right on the edge of Rock Creek Park in DC. This is a giant fucking opulent as hell building. You might be on, I'm not sure. At any rate, we found out through our friend, a friend of the show and fairly frequent streaming partner, Jason Burmis, who used to work for InfoWars, who did the 9/11 documentary Loose Change.
Oh, Brad.
And Invisible Empire. We found out through him that Jones was showing up. So we registered for the event, which took place on Wednesday night, the day before CPAC. And prior to the event happening, Burmis was in the hotel lobby. He was interviewing Rob Dew, who's a longtime collaborator and employee for InfoWars. And Jones crashed the interview.
Wow.
And so Burmis got him on camera and was like, hey, dude, what's going on with your boy Trump and Julian Assange? You know, and for a while, Jones like wrote out the bit and he was fucking with them. And he was like, no, of course I think journalists should be put in jail, you know, and shit like that. But he finally like made a positive statement that inarguably he would have made eventually. But the fact that his former employee was there with the camera right in front of his face, like kicked him over the edge a little bit.
Yeah.
So when we were ready to interrupt the event and doorstop Alex Jones the exact same way that Alex Jones has interrupted events and doorstopped the people at the mic. We were ready to do that. When we walked into the room, Jones was going off about Julian Assange and told a room full of conservative influencers, including Nick Fuentes and Gavin McInnes, um, and a handful of other people whose names I know but am not remembering at the exact moment, but told a fuck ton of conservative influencers and the crowd, which wasn't a full house, but it was a little bit more than a half full house, which is nice for not having a lot of advertisement ahead of time,
Yeah.
that they should no longer support President Trump if he doesn't do right by Julian Assange.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is it's fucking huge.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, man, like both Fuentes and Gavin McInnes didn't look comfortable with it. They really didn't. So that happened, and I don't think it would have gone that way had Burmis not got to Alex Jones earlier in the day. But Burmis grabbed him, was like, "Hey, I'm here with Action for Assange. They've been doing this shit all week. What do you have to say?" So we basically flipped the entire event into a free Julian Assange rally. Cassandra Fairbanks has a bunch of footage on that on her Twitter, and then afterwards we got a chance to interview her, and she dropped a fuck ton of bombshells about Julian Assange's case, including the fact that Trump had been out to get him the entire time he was on the campaign trail, saying, "We love the WikiLeaks, can't wait for more WikiLeaks, gotta support the WikiLeaks." Like, all of that shit was showmanship. The second he got into office, through Aaron Schwartz and Rick Grindel. Rick Grindel is now the acting director of national intelligence. At the time, he was appointed to be the ambassador of Germany. Grindel was the back channel between the U.S. and the Ecuadorian president, Lenin Moreno, who the U.S. helped get elected in 2017. What the occurrence of that, what came out of that was like a $10.2 billion IMF loan that Ecuador got.
Because they fucked over Assange.
Yeah, and Assange got trafficked out of that embassy and down to Belmarsh prison, which they call the Guantanamo Bay of the United Kingdom. It's a shithole. Like, it's the shithole.
And he looks like he's just getting fucking tortured, I'm sure he is. Like, that's what they do.
The UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, a guy named Nils Melzer, I'm probably going to get the fucking date wrong. It was like either August or September of last year. Finally went to see him. And there's a fantastic interview that he did with an outlet called Republic with a K. I think it's either a German or a Swiss outfit. But he was like, "Yo, I thought that if this guy was locked up and had been, in the embassy for as long as he had and then got taken to Belmarsh, that he'd done something. I thought there had to be something that he had done to earn this treatment. And it wasn't until his lawyers wouldn't stop petitioning me that I finally broke down and went to see him. And when I did, I saw a man who's been systematically tortured for the better part of a decade. Now, I don't personally like the UN as a working body. I think that their formation was nefarious. I think that a lot of their end goals are dirty as shit.
Yeah.
But the office of the Special Rapporteur on Torture isn't a part of this global agenda takeover shit.
Yeah, there's always aspects of shit that's actually going to try to function and work well. And there's always going to be people involved who have actually good intentions. So it's not like 100% of anything is garbage.
People would have taken up arms decades ago if they couldn't present a legitimate face and have legitimate programs on some aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It's why the CIA goes through charities and NGOs all the time.
Yeah.
Because you can point to like good works that the organization has done, even though it turns out that they're actually a destabilization factory.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is what the UN does through the working group on arbitrary detention and the Rapporteur on Torture division. But Nils Melzer wrote the British Crown Prosecutorial Service and was like, "Hey, what the fuck?"
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's been over 100 days and they still haven't answered him. So we know unequivocally that he's been tortured. We know that Chelsea Manning has been tortured. Two different people, UN rapporteurs on torture, have said she's been tortured. Um, all for disclosing information that is 100% in the public's interest, accurate, and allows people to have a more complete view of what their governments are doing ostensibly in our names.
And we have this like weird ideal that we're supposed to protect whistleblowers. You know, even in the fucking stupid impeachment like ceremony or whatever the fuck that was, like that they were like, we need to protect the whistleblower, and it's like that's not whatever that was isn't even what we mean when we say whistleblower. Whatever that was is like maybe somewhat related, but this is what we mean when we say whistleblowers. These people.
I don't know if I can say his name.
Oh,
I
right.
still don't know if we can say his name.
Which we should be able to.
Let's call him. Let's use Burmes's nickname for him. Erica Caramello Bar.
Okay.
We're not allowed to say Erica Caramello Bar's name,
even if we're talking about a different Erica Caramello Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this person is supposed to be granted full protective status. That person doesn't even meet any of the most basic requirements of being a whistleblower.
Jesus.
The person that they're calling a whistleblower isn't, and the people that are whistleblowers are incarcerated.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hammond being one of those people too. You should read, if you haven't, his statement when he got yanked out of minimum security in Oklahoma and transferred to maximum security at the William G. Truesdale Center in Alexandria, Virginia.
I think that's when we stopped communicating.
Yeah. And this is recent too. This was just last year.
Okay, yeah. Never mind. It was longer ago than that.
No, he got bounced. He went to like 3 different facilities before being in Oklahoma. And he was there for quite a while. I think he even went to 2 different facilities inside the state of Oklahoma, but he was in like minimum security and fucking, like not being isolated and fucking, ostensibly tortured.
They were like, wait, why are we not torturing this guy? Get him over here. It's crazy.
Right? So everybody that they've got that is in any way, shape, or form connected to WikiLeaks is in this detention center. I have the statement pulled up. There's only like one line I want to read out of it, because it's got some of the best phraseology that I've seen in a while. There we go. He says, it's difficult to view any of this government's laws as just when they are so selectively enforced, and when the government turns a blind eye to its own misconduct that is on display every day that Trump is in the White House. Because in my case, the government's informant instigated numerous hacks, asking me to break into governments and companies all over the world. And nearly a decade later, this misconduct remains ignored. The NSA continues to surveil everyone and launch cyber attacks. Trump and his corrupt cronies continue to hold the world hostage to their megalomaniacal imperialist pig whims, while simultaneously refusing to comply with subpoenas and inquiries into their own vicious abuses of power. Meanwhile, Chelsea Manning and I are doing hard time in this dump for the crime of refusing to allow our spirits to break after serving our sentences for exposing government and corporate corruption.
Amen.
And the phrase megalomaniacal is something that I want to put on a fucking banner.
You should have it. You should make shirts.
It's beautiful.
Make shirts and have the proceeds go to...
And he's got a lot of statements about Obama, lest anyone... Right? Some free Hammond imperialist pigwhims. Fuck yeah. And he's got a lot of statements about the Obama administration, in case anybody wants to think that he's pulling a partisan thing. He actually makes a statement about being an anarchist, and that he doesn't have an obligation to the state to do fucking anything, regardless of who is in office or who is in power. He's opposed to the institutions that they represent. Like it's killer, dude.
That's badass.
It's a good, and we read that out loud at the William Truesdale Center where he's being housed. We read that out loud, and we read Chelsea Manning's statement on the grand jury process out loud.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick that statement in the Zoom chat for you in case you want to read the rest of it later.
Awesome. Thank you. I have a random question. What do you think is the deal with the fact that there was that dude who was also a whistleblower, but in the UK back in the day, and he came out and he got caught and he was put in jail, and then he also like became a trans individual, and then now Chelsea Hammond has like followed the exact same path? Like, do you think that's total coincidence?
If you ask Chelsea Manning, she gave a press conference where someone introduced her as formerly Bradley Manning.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, that's the name that I had to walk around with until, and like, I don't know, dude, because I've got a lot of conflicting thoughts on the whole transgenderism thing. Like,
Yeah.
I do think that there's a subtle, if not overt, agenda to like push mutilation and destruction of self and self-identity so that you can then be programmed to follow whatever the current talking points throughout that particular group are.
Yeah.
But I also think that there are people who are fucking way the shit confused about who they are or genuinely believe that they deserve to live life as the opposite sex.
Right.
I'll say this for Chelsea Manning. It didn't happen when she was in grade school. It didn't happen when she was a teenager. It happened like during her incarceration in Leavenworth when she had already made a fuck ton of adult decisions and dealt with the adult consequences of those decisions.
That's what gets to me too.
You know,
and I'm not in like, I support her no matter what, either way. I just find it really interesting that there's that weird parallel there, and it makes me wonder what they're capable of, because I just see that fucking this, like, my nightmare is that like full sensory fucking shit that they have on people in Guantanamo and probably other torture chambers around the world, and like what is that doing, and how is it programming people with like light and sound and all kinds of deprivation and stuff. I don't know. It makes me pretty creeped out with wondering what they can do to people, especially if you then wouldn't have like a memory of it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that if we saw this as like even 10% of the prison population, you know, overall, or a significant percentage of the prison population, specifically in the US and UK, then there would be enough corroborating evidence and data to be like, holy fuck, this is an agenda. This is a problem. But to the best of my knowledge, people applying for and what I love about the whole transgender thing is that you never actually stop being the gender you were born with. Like, the chromosomes are all still there. You get gender reassignment surgery,
right?
Not gender alterate. You know, you're not flipping genders.
No.
So even in the process, you're admitting that there's you know, two genders, and
you never stop being trans.
Yeah.
So you're always trans.
Right. But yeah, I think if we had a little bit more information on it, we could then make a reasonable case for it being an agenda or something that's being pushed. But to the best of my knowledge, the amount of prisoners that are opting in for gender reassignment surgery while being incarcerated is incredibly negligible.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and then I have another random question, because you said Aaron Schwartz in relation to somebody, but it's not the same Aaron Schwartz who committed suicide over the leaks of the. Okay, totally different. I was like, is this like back in time?
He was a Trump campaign, like kind of higher up.
Okay.
I don't even think that he's like as old as I am. I think he's, you know, a little bit younger and very much alive and very much engaged in the Trump administration.
Got it. And then, oh shoot, where was I going to go with that? Oh, I wanted you to tell us about, because I know that you've received pushback and some kind of fuckery with your with the shit you're working on, and you've got some attention. And so share with us some of the fucked up shit that is happening to you because of your work.
Oh, sure. In terms of, so a couple of different things happen. I'll start with the Daily Beast and Tim Pool thing.
Oh yeah, I want to hear about that too.
Because that was about Pete Buttigieg. Back in April of last year, right after he announced, I did a video on Slow News Day that was titled Pete Buttigieg, CIA Democrat. And we know from the 2018 election and reporting, it was broken by the World Socialist website, but it was picked up by a ton of other outlets, that there were 48 candidates running for office as Democrats in 2018 in state and national races that were former members of the intelligence community.
Wow.
Which is about 48 too many. If you ask me.
Yes.
So Pete Buttigieg fits the profile of an intelligence agency's just wet fucking dream.
Yeah. He's like programmable.
Well, and he's got the right background. His dad was in training to be a Jesuit priest.
Huh.
Got told, instead of becoming a priest, we would like you to become a professor and we would like you to have a family. So they set him up in Notre Dame, originally a Catholic university. and he gets Lil Petey. And Lil Pete goes to a private Jesuit school all the way through high school, gets accepted into Harvard, works on a fairly high-profile Democrats campaign in 2002, works on John Kerry's campaign in 2004, goes to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar, which is another huge fucking tip-off.
Yeah.
While at Oxford, he discovers he has a skill with languages.
And gayness.
So he becomes somewhat... I'm sure he figured that out at Harvard.
Oh, okay.
If anybody's going to bring the gay out of you, it's going to be Harvard. So he leaves Oxford with like a couple of different degrees and the ability to speak up to 7 languages conversationally, not necessarily fluently, but conversationally.
Like how I speak Spanish.
Yeah. And then he goes and works for McKinsey Consulting, which is a destabilization factory that has boasted about like the billions of dollars in contracts that they have with the CIA.
What's their actual pretending? What are they pretending to do? They're not actually saying they're going to destabilize movements, are they? They're just
no. They help put contractors, whether they're corporations or in general, or contractors in the more in the private military contractor vein, either troops or construction. They help set them up in other countries.
Okay.
So he works for McKinsey. Then he joins the Navy Reserves. After all of this, after Harvard, after being a Rhodes Scholar, after the sweet gig with McKinsey, then he becomes a Naval Reserve member, where he's immediately made a lieutenant in the Intelligence Corps, is now a much higher ranking officer in naval intelligence. Then he runs for mayor of a fucking no-name town in Indiana. And less than 10 years later, he's a presidential candidate. So in the video, and I'd written a couple articles about it too, like I've made a couple of jokes that like if you fucking went to a lab in Langley and you wanted to, build a bear, a CIA Democrat, it would come out looking exactly like Pete Buttigieg. Exactly. And he even hits the identity politics. He doesn't win identity politics bingo.
But he's got the check mark that you need of the he's got enough weight in his claim that it because I don't even think he's actually gay. I'd be like,
Oh, yeah?
cool if he was, but no, I don't think he is. I think like that's just part of I think they knew they were going to go the identity route, so they're like, all right, you got to be gay. And then he was just like, yeah, play that role, whatever.
Let me tell you something. His husband's name is Chasten,
Chasten.
right? Chasten. If you're a straight dude, I guarantee you, unless you have like years of professional acting experience, you don't get to say, I love my husband, Chasten, without fucking. You don't say that with a straight face. Like, that's not a sentence that comes out that you're not like, oh, fuck, I really said that shit.
Unless you're a deeply trained actor who works for the CIA.
Or a highly successful CIA operative. But the whole point of that video wasn't necessarily to say, like, this dude is currently in the employ of the Central Intelligence Agency. It was to say that he checks off all of the fucking boxes for a CIA Democrat.
Yeah, yeah.
The Daily Beast, like, almost a fucking year later, sees this video. This guy, Scott, I can't remember his last name, DMs me on Twitter. He's like, hey, I got some questions about this. You know, I'm doing an article. And I'm like, well, press is press. You know, I'm pretty sure I'm about to get smeared by the Daily Beast. Let's go ahead and be funny.
Yeah.
So I did, and I answered the questions, and he fucking wrote just a massive hit piece on me.
Wow. Which, like,
Tim,
no press is bad press, so there's something cool about that either way.
I got fucking like 400 subscribers out of that. Woo! I only got to keep 80 of them, but I got 400.
Right. Some of them will come back.
The next day after that article came out, Tim fucking Pool, and I would never have known unless somebody on Twitter tagged me and was like, hey, I just saw Tim Pool do this, you know.
And this is Tim Pool's the guy that does Timcast or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who has been dogged with rumors that he's an intelligence asset for a number of years, and who basically got like drummed out of Occupy because he couldn't keep his camera off of fucking people's private conversations.
Wow.
His excuse was, you're in a public place, I can film you. And there's up to a point, yeah.
But that's not how you roll in those circles.
Right, unless you want people to think you're a fucking Fed.
Yeah.
Now people think he's a fucking Fed.
Wait, so I thought he had some connection with Alex Jones too. Is that just in my head? That's not real?
I don't know.
Okay. That's probably not real. I just something else.
But he picks up the Daily Beast story, and he fucking does like a 15 or 12 minute segment on it. And the first 4 minutes are all about trashing me. And he fucking pronounced my last name right. So I know he watched the fucking clip.
Wow.
I know he did.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look at my last name and pronounce it right. My kids had to learn how to pronounce their last name right, you know?
Yeah.
Tim Pool didn't know how to pronounce my last name before he fucking went and made it. So I know he watched. And yeah, dude, he fucking he kicked me around for a little bit. I challenged him to a debate. He never got back to me. Some of the people in his chat now will frequently pop up and be like, hey, you're gonna talk to the guy from Slow News Day? Because you know, so I would love the opportunity to. I was hoping I would run into him in DC.
That'd be rad.
You know, just for fucking, because he is that guy with the camera that turns up at a lot of places, and I thought maybe he'll be at the fucking Free Speech Summit, or maybe he'll be at CPAC or something like that.
I think there's not a lot of people who actually have very much like balls, and he probably recognizes that you're one, and so he might be like, let's like steer clear of that guy. He's one of the people who would actually walk up to me and say shit. Not that you're like going to be aggressive, but just that you'd be willing to be like, yo, let's do this now.
Yeah, and I mean, I try. I'll extend the invitation again anytime he wants to fucking talk. Like, I'm approachable. I am.
I'll moderate. Just kidding.
Yeah. The other thing, the thing that you had mentioned that I told you before we started was when we were doing the crowdfunding for the DC and London shows. So we like 4 months ago launched a GoFundMe because we wanted to do the actions and events in DC, and we also wanted to be able to have Action for Assange on the ground covering the extradition hearing in London. So we crowdfunded for it, we got the money, and me and one of my co-hosts, a woman named Taylor Hudak, were supposed to go to London. I applied for my passport again because it had been over 10 years since I had traveled internationally, which I'm really fucking sad about.
Yeah.
But I reapplied for my passport and I didn't hear anything back, and I didn't hear anything back, and I didn't hear anything back, and it was getting really fucking close to crunch time. So I called the State Department, and they're like, "Oh no, your application has been denied because you have an outstanding felony warrant."
Felony warrant.
And I was like, "The fuck I do?"
Jesus.
And I knew what they were talking about because I've only ever been charged with one felony in my entire life. And in the year of our Lord, 2001, I was in Athens, Georgia for a Widespread Panic concert. And it was pouring down fucking rain. And I was standing underneath an awning with a couple other fucking heads, and we all had backpacks on. And 3 cops on bicycles blocked us in and shoved everyone up against the wall. And by the time they were running through everybody's pockets, a couple of us had a half a dozen hits of ecstasy in our pocket that had not been there before the cops showed up.
Fuck them.
So they kept us in the Clark County jail for 3 months before we had a court date.
3 months?
3 months.
How have I not heard this story before? That's fucking crazy.
I
Jesus.
I usually don't talk about my jail time.
Okay.
But yeah, waited 3 months to go to court. We all went to court. They were like, everybody has probation, but any jail sentence we were going to give you, we're going to consider that time served. By the way, you're banned from the state of Georgia for 15 years. Get the fuck out. We'll assign you a probation officer in your home state.
Okay.
I was never assigned a probation officer in my home state. So a warrant was issued for me. By the time I had settled in and fucking figured, and gone through and got a legitimate driver's license and was trying to, do shit like that, I contacted Georgia. I paid him some money, and the charge was expunged from my record. This was
And expunging is this is a permanent removal. Now, when you have background checks, it doesn't show up. This is how expungement should work.
Yep. So, so the State Department was saying that the case itself, according to their records, had never been expunged, and I still had an active warrant.
Because these motherfuckers can do whatever the fuck they want.
Well, yeah, and they knew why we were going to London, and they knew who we were going to London for.
Yes.
A good 30% of the people that traveled to London that are part of the independent media got fucked with massively. A couple of the people that came out to DC with us got fucked with massively.
Stopped and searched at every possible
in
checkpoint.
In the windowless room. Hauled out of line. We had 2 people miss flights.
That gets scary too, because you're like, are they gonna stick their fingers up my butt? What the fuck?
Are they gonna stick me in Gitmo?
Yeah.
Or they, am I fucking getting a bag put over my head? Is
exactly.
this me going bye-bye? What the fuck, But
it's
yeah,
real.
so a handful of us got fucked with. They successfully stopped me from going to London, but I am gonna fight that, and I do have a hearing, and I'm going to see what I can do. Even if I don't end up going to London for the second round of the extradition hearings, I would still like to be able to travel out of the country.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take care of that because I need it. I would like the option of traveling. I would like the option of expatriating if I could.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Have that on the back burner, just waiting, just in case. This is the type of thing that, and this, in addition to what we were talking about, YouTube fuckery and that type of stuff that people don't really realize is very real and very active, is this sort of suppression that's legal and physical and in your face. And you get both sides of it being an activist. And so it makes it, you know, people, if people can understand that and think about it, then it makes people kind of respect what you're doing a lot more. Because if people think you're just kind of like, you care about this and you want to get the word out, like that's one thing. But when people realize you're willing to like risk your sort of freedom, hopefully not, hopefully that's never at risk, but we realize like it is, you know, and your well-being for this, then that is just very respectful. And so I hope that, you know, I respect that and that other people should be giving you props for that too. It's pretty incredible.
I would definitely prefer not to be arrested for this.
Yeah.
I guess like, so I got interviewed by Medea Benjamin from Code Pink, and I'm pretty sure that she's been arrested more times than any living human being now. She got arrested on Friday because Mike Pompeo had to go testify in front of Congress.
Was this the guy who was like not willing to admit that coronavirus is not a hoax?
He was the former CIA director who's now the Secretary of State.
Okay.
That's him. And I'm not sure if he was the guy that was talking, like trying to pretend away the coronavirus. Yeah. He's also the guy on camera who was talking about his time at the CIA, and he straight up says, we lied, we cheated, we stole. That's what they teach you when you get there. Jesus. You know, and like chuckles about it, and the room laughs, and everybody's getting a kick out of it. Like, oh yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah, but, that guy, he was supposed to testify in front of Congress. Code Pink shows up because that's what they do, and they interrupt these hearings because that's what they do. And before they could even get into the room, they had 4 of them fucking arrested and hauled off. Like, they hadn't even done anything yet.
They don't even pretend.
Because thanks to Bill Barr and Donald Trump, we now have pre-crime.
Bill Barr?
Pre-crime is a thing. The Attorney
comedian?
General.
Oh, okay.
That's Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Completely different Bill.
I was so confused. I was like, but he's so rad. What are you talking about? All right.
No. Bill Barr is the Attorney General. He's
right.
He was
that
also
asshole.
Previously the Attorney General.
Oh, and he is again.
He was Poppy Bush's Attorney General, and helped fucking get all the people that were hemmed up for Iran-Contra. He helped get all them off.
And he just like look at him and you know that he's raped kids.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah. But there's a pre-crime division in the Department of Justice now. I don't even know if people know about this. Do you remember last year when there were those 2 like mass shootings in the same day or in the same like weekend or 24-hour period? There was one in Texas and there was one in Ohio, and the one in Texas was in then presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke's like hometown.
Okay.
And he came out immediately and was like, "We need to grab them guns."
Oh yeah, you know?
Yeah. So that happened. The Monday after that happened, Donald Trump came out and he said, "We've got to find a way to stop these crimes before they start. So I'm calling for a division within the Department of Justice to scour the deepest, darkest corners of the interweb in order to collect this information and stop this before it happens." Calling for a pre-crime,
literally pre-crime,
fucking Minority Report.
We knew this was coming because it was what the fuck was it called? Paladin. Paladin was a program put in place in I want to say New Orleans or like somewhere in Louisiana. Like a while ago, but it was, and it was a test, and it was to see like, does this work if we do this, like, basically that exact thing, like deep interweb, fucking scouring, like.
Paladin was brought into existence by Peter Thiel, who.
Why is that so familiar?
Because he's Mark Zuckerberg's good friend, and he was a Facebook partner, and he was also in charge of Stratfor. The company that is mentioned in the Global Intelligence Files. Okay. That was Peter Thiel's company.
Wow. Stratfor is his company.
Yeah.
This is like the most dystopian bullshit, and like no one even knows that it's happening. Like,
and it's because of manufactured confusion that people don't fucking know.
Yeah. I try to scream about it, but then like after like 10, 20 years of screaming about it, I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna have some tea or something. But that makes me even more proud of people like you who are like actually doing shit, because I feel like I'm doing shit in my way or whatever, but I know that we need people like you who are going and like pushing this in the faces of the people who refuse to acknowledge it, you know.
Look, it's a tough time for, and I consider what you do a form of information activism. Like,
Thank you.
certainly, absolutely, 100%. Um, it's something that most people, like, when most people think of activists, like what they think of or what you see on TV during the Women's March, where it's a bunch of fucking like programmable idiots all walking around in matching hats,
Yes.
and there's corporate sponsors,
Yes. It's
and
like
CNN is
AT&T.
willing to play it, you
Yeah.
know. And I've said for a long time now that if your protest has corporate sponsors, it's not a fucking protest, it's a parade.
Yes.
Um, and so people think that a parade is activism,
Yes. And they
and
think,
it's
yeah.
just fucking not.
Yes. It's like that's the like surf that's another layer of that whole like confusion and distraction thing though, and division is they're like, yeah, take your anger and put it over here on the parade, and people are like, whew, I did something about it and I changed the world today. And it's like, well, now you've fucking satiated their desire and their need to try and be part of you know, something good, and there it goes, there it went, now it's gone.
I'm reading through your chat here a little bit.
I like Rogue Cow's comment there, like despite all of this surveillance and this like paladin bullshit and the pre-crime bullshit, all of this child porn and slavery continues to be like a huge problem in the world. And this is part of how you know that shit isn't for our safety and benefit, and that it is just to stop any kind of political dissidence or any kind of organic movement. And that's basically it. And that's what it always is just like trade off for our safety, for our freedom. And then people are still going to get mowed down by the system as we go.
As fucked up as Franklin was, he did say that people who would trade their freedom for security deserve neither.
Yes.
And that's cool. And big shout out to Road Cow too. She's awesome.
She is awesome.
She's when they give her a notification for my show, will be in the chat as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Woodstock brought to you by Pepsi. Exactly. That's what fucking. And even then, like it was because I was at that one. It was '94. I was at that one, and it got like it was not what they wanted it to be. It was not a corporate love fest. It was a bunch of fucking punk asses throwing giant fucking clods around, and it was a little wild.
That's good.
It was, and also very expensive. But a few of us did manage to sneak in.
As you should. Chris, you are one of the cool kids.
I think you're one of the cool kids, Chris.
Been with us since the beginning. Have you ever been, do you feel like directly threatened for what you do?
I was directly threatened in DC this week by what in hindsight, looking back at it and looking at the film, it looks like there were some provocateurs that were set on us. But yeah, I did have a guy tell me that that it would be worth his time to drag me into an alley and shoot.
Jesus.
That was like I laughed in his face, but I was like, "Holy fuck, is this guy serious?"
Yeah. Well, that's how you.
We're really good about this. But we did our travel arrangements right. We had like a fifth party booked the Airbnb. Nobody else's name was on it. We fucking are only communicating through encrypted devices, and I'm aware that there's a way to hack encrypted devices, but you can't do it algorithmically. You have to set human resources onto it, which is why I encourage everyone to use encrypted devices when they communicate, because the more resources you can pull to get fucking Joe NSA agent to look at, your grocery shopping lists or your fucking bullshit text to your partner about what you're getting for dinner or whatever, like, great, dude. Yeah. Great. Do that.
That's a really good point, because a lot of people will say like VPNs don't work, like they can still get blah blah blah, and it's like true, it's true, but exactly what you're saying is also true. Like the more you can make them work for it, the better. At the very least, throw as many like wrenches in their wheel as you can.
Absolutely. You get to and not only that, but like you get a little bit more peace of mind, because I know every time that I go on Facebook, it's 100% monitored. I know that there's a backdoor built into the Facebook Messenger app that just lets law enforcement go right in without a warrant. It's the exact same way for WhatsApp. It's the exact same way for Instagram.
There's a reason why they made phones so that you cannot take the battery out anymore, and it's because these are devices that are spying on you.
Yeah,
you used to be able to dismantle them somewhat and have some idea that maybe your conversation wasn't being monitored, and you cannot do that now. It's not an accident.
No, and I mean, the phones that you still can take battery out of, like there are still people that have fucking flip phones and shit.
I know, I should go back to it.
They don't have the fucking capability of housing encrypted apps.
That's true too.
So it's, you know, you make your phone calls and you pull your battery out, or you have a fucking refrigerator full of burner phones or whatever, you know, or you get your smartphone, you remove as many Google or Apple devices as humanly possible. Yes. If you have an Android phone, you can get rid of like 99% of the Google software. You can put F-Droid on it. You can communicate through telegraph or wire or signal. And I know that Signal is breachable, but again, they have to attach human resources to do it. They can't break it through just their regular algorithms. So there's ways to get around it. I've had a guy on Slow News Day a couple of times. Well, no, once on Slow News Day. We've had him on 2 or 3 times on the Free Assange Vigil. His name's Sean O'Brien. He runs the Yale Privacy Lab. And his job is to teach people how to encrypt their shit.
That's cool.
He holds training courses for activists, and he's not a member of like the elite Ivy League schism. The dude grew up in New Haven. He went to a different university. It wasn't even an Ivy League university. And he happened to get brought in to the program, the privacy lab, because one of his good friends who was on the faculty at Yale was like, this guy's a fucking genius and I'm not going anywhere without him.
They always have to like dip down into the proles to get their fucking goodness, because it doesn't come from them.
So Sean's got a thing, what is the name of it? I'm not going to remember the name of it, but basically it's like an external physical storage unit. So instead of putting all your shit on the cloud, you can transfer it directly from your phone or to your computer onto this 3-dimensional object that stores all of your personal shit. And you can then put it in a burn box or a coffee can or wherever the fuck you want, wherever you want to put it. And the only way that someone can get into it is if they physically take it out of your presence and set to work on it. It's pretty fucking cool.
It's just like one more step to make them work for it to get it if they want it that bad.
Absolutely, because they're going to get it if they want it bad enough.
For sure.
But I really don't. I don't know if any of us are ever going to warrant that attention.
And I don't.
Know? And I might, because I'm already getting fucked with.
Yeah.
But I'm also making sure that my shit is way under wraps.
There's this, like, I have two minds about it, because there's part of me that's like, this is definitely, no matter what, if they want something, they're going to get it. If they want that information, they're going to get it. There's another part of me that knows for, like, a fact that they're not as, like, all-seeing and all-powerful as they want us to think. And they're really good. They're really good at what they do. But I just think that there's, like, enough, like, human error and holes in their shit and things that go wrong for them as well that, like, I just don't think they're, like, as, you know, omnipotent. So I want to like keep both of those things in my mind at once.
The beautiful and horrifying thing about the internet is that they don't have to be as on it as they need to be, because so many people volunteer their private information. Yeah. So many people voluntarily just dump all their shit right out there for everybody to see. And it eliminates a lot of that, like, background work.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, the COINTELPRO FBI used to have to do back in the day.
Yeah. And like they're
I'm of the mind that everybody has always made me work for the shit that I've got.
Yeah.
So I might as well make them work for the shit that they want to get on me.
Yes.
Like fair's fucking fair.
Dude, and it'd be rad if like your CIA or FBI agent or NSA people or whatever were like, this guy, he makes us work, like respect. Part of them actually just like loves you for it.
The Action for Assange live stream gets fucked with all the time.
Oh, I believe it.
So
this stream has gotten fucked with a bit more than most of mine do, just because you're here. You win.
I'm sorry. So we started calling. We have a made-up name for the NSA agent tasked to monitor our chat and fucks with our stream, and we call him Kevin. Kevin. So to the point now to where like if my stream fucks up on Slow News Day or if the A4A stream fucks up, like the fucking chat heads will be like, God damn it, Kevin.
Damn it, Kevin. People
know who Kevin is now. And I'm sure we ran into multiple Kevins while we were in DC.
Yeah.
I was getting chatted up at a fucking oh my god, dude. A chain woke bar. All right. It's a plastic revolutionary bookstore with a bar. It's not called Busboys. It's called Busboys and Poets.
Is RevCom USA behind it?
I don't know.
They can't.
I gotta look into it.
Weird.
The decor is all like it's got Angela Davis on the wall, and it's got fucking Fred Hampton and Huey Newton on the wall.
This is that shit that fucking drives me nuts, like when they had Kurt Vonnegut on a fucking car commercial, and I was like, I hate everything now. I hate it all.
Yo, they have plush Ruth Bader Ginsburg dolls for sale. Yeah,
that's not even.
Yeah, little stuff. Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Supreme Court robe.
So they're like statist but revolutionary.
Right. They had a book, and I think Burma's got this on his channel, or at least has pictures of it, because we've been fucking with each other for like a solid week now. But the book is called Feminist Baby. And it's about a little boy baby who's, doing the right thing because he's a feminist baby.
He's a baby.
And fucking, they had books on consent for toddlers, but it was like, this is how it was like never take advantage of a dragon or something like that. I'm not making fucking any of this shit up. It's hilarious.
This is like the parade version of like bars for whatever.
Yeah, this is the parade version of an anarchist bookstore that has a fucking bar in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a chain. Like there's more than one of these.
Wow. I'm like disturbed deeply right
now. I still can't wrap my head around fucking Angela Davis on the wall with a stuffed Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and not like the real stuffed Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, you wish.
Yeah, no, I could get behind that. Yeah. But yeah, and fucking feminist baby, like I just,
wow.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was weird. But while we were there, immediately after we sat down, because again, encrypted fucking messaging services would have been difficult to figure out where we were going. It was on the opposite side of where we were. We were leaving the Department of Justice building, and we wound up over on 5th and K, where Busboys and Poets is. Like shortly after we got there, there was a table that was sat like 15 feet away from us, and we were a large group of people, and they came over and started chatting us up. And I'm from the fucking deadhead school where you look at somebody's shoes. Ooh. And you look at somebody, like, really look at their eyes while they're talking. And it appeared like we were getting checked out.
Yeah.
And this was on Monday. This was the first day that we were holding events there. Every time we held an event in DC, I saw 2 out of the 4 people.
Wow.
And it wasn't always the same 2 out of the 4.
They like to
But
mix it up and try to keep you on your
have
toes.
we have a couple of pictures that we took from one end of the table of the group shot, and they fucking got, at least in profile, got in the picture. So we had something to go on. Like, you can see in the video where there's a couple of us that are like looking around, and somebody will look at their phone.
Try to find him.
It's like, Kevin!
God damn it, Kevin. Kevin and his cronies. Yeah.
I think it's like Agent Smith, and they're all Kevins.
Yes. It's just Kevin, and Kevin.
Multiple fucking faceless fucking just evil Kevins.
Can you imagine being Kevin and thinking that what you were doing was the best thing?
So,
who is Kevin? Why are you doing this, Kevin? Don't you have a soul? Look in the mirror, Kevin.
We do, as part of what we do at Action for Assange, is we encourage people who are in the national security state to become whistleblowers. And at least like once a stream now, we'll give a shout out to Kevin and be like, hey buddy, it's not too late. You can
love that.
Step up and you can do the right thing.
Because even though it's tongue in cheek, it's absolutely true that these people are possibly our best allies. You never give up on Kevin.
We have stickers out that we splattered all over Washington, D.C., and it's got a big whistle in the middle of it. And it says, if you're a member of the national security apparatus, blow me.
Yes. I love that.
So hopefully that has an impact on the people in the NatSec world.
I guess Kevin came in and thumbs down this video. So, Kevin, you got to do better next time.
It's because I wouldn't let you shoot me, isn't it, Kevin?
He's just going to be angry forever. He's like really, really furiously masturbating and crying right now because he couldn't shoot you.
Absolutely.
That's what Kevin's Sunday nights look like.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes tears make the best lube, right?
That's the best quote ever. That should just be my subline for the whole show. Rogueways, sometimes tears make the best lube.
Fuck yeah.
Sorry, I can't take it. It's yours. You can use it.
Jesus Christ. That's good shit.
Also, I want to point out that this is just a really minor way that I get fucked with now, but at some point Restream stopped being able to give me accurate numbers. Sometimes it says 0 people are watching for the whole show, even though people are clearly chatting and watching, and I can see their comments, but but it says no people. And for this entire episode, it's been exactly 13 people, and that's not even possible.
No, it's not.
Some people leave and some people come and whatever. It's never just
that
13
happened to me today.
So
that was my live stream
number.
this morning. My live stream was frozen at 13 people the entire fucking time. As soon as I get done, and you go to dashboard or whatever, and it shows you how many people watch. It was 78 views or some shit like that for the.
That doesn't work for me either now. So before it would tell me my total, you're at peak and whatever. Yeah, mine are never 78, but so 25, 32, whatever they are. Now when I go, it's 4. And I'm there was 10 people in the chat, you fucking ass. What the hell?
I get that too, to where I've had views go down.
Yeah.
Oh, from the original time that they were posted, or if you click on the home screen and it shows you how many people watched it. If you click on the video itself, it'll be a significantly higher number of viewers. And then if you go into analytics, it'll be an even higher number of viewers than that. So it's holy fuck, you're going out of your way to make sure that it looks like nobody watches this shit.
That's why I wonder.
On top of that, I'm never a suggested video. No. I'm never in anybody's side crawler.
No.
I'm never fucking a recommended channel or any of that shit.
If you share the Slow News Day or Rogueways link on Facebook, 2 people will see it out of your hundreds or thousands of friends or whatever.
If you're lucky,
if you're
couple of people will see it. Yeah, no, it's a constant battle, and it's why it's really important to drag people into a post-partisan framing. We can't red team, blue team our way out of this shit. We can't.
Totally. Agreed. Yes, totally. But it's like interesting that I wonder how many views and supporters you actually have in the world, given that like the Daily Beast and Tim Pool had to, attack you specifically or whatever. Like, I just like sometimes wonder how far the reach actually is, because we cannot know. We're never gonna know.
No, I do know that, like, basically whatever we could imagine our government doing, no matter how horrible it is, in reality, it's worse.
Oh yeah. And private industry. You can add private industry to that too.
Yeah, it's fucking, well, there's no difference anymore.
True.
They're all what they're one and the same. We have a fucking there's a great quote about Ro Khanna, the congressman from Silicon Valley, who's like part of Bernie Sanders campaign, and he's supposed to be this like super progressive guy. And the quote is from a book called I think it's called The Four or The Big Four, but it's about the tech monopolies that run Silicon Valley and the government, or at least extensive parts of the government. And the quote is, Ro Khanna is a smart man and a thoughtful man, but he is not a member of Congress. That is the seat that is held for the executives in Silicon Valley.
Wait, what?
So, Ro Khanna, duly elected member of Congress, may be a smart and thoughtful man, but he is not actually a congressman. He is a placeholder so that he can take direction from tech companies.
I got it.
Yeah. He's keeping the seat warm because, like 4 to 15 people aren't going to fit in it at once.
Yeah. So this is like the interchange, like government, people will be in government and then they'll go into private industry, and they'll be in private industry, go into government. And by the time you like have done this now for however many years, it's like you're saying just one and the same thing. And it's like no one even pretends anymore, really, that there's not collusion or complete agreement going on between these.
I mean, if you look at the legislation that comes out. The last time that there was a pro-worker friendly piece of legislation signed, it was in like 1983 or 1984.
1984.
We're still like, there are states that have raised a minimum wage, and that's an entirely different conversation. But as it stands right now, minimum wage is still what, $7.55 an hour federally, like at the federal level, $7.25, something like that. Last time it got raised was when Bill Clinton was in the fucking White House.
Jesus.
Like it's regardless of the fucking, push your buttons, we're doing this intentionally to divide you issues, there's zero difference between the two parties. They're all pro-war, they're all pro-corporation, they're all fucking anti-worker, they're both anti-union. And even the unions themselves are so completely and wholly corrupt.
They're anti-union.
Yeah. We've got a leadership that negotiates with workers on behalf of management instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get back to the roots of what unions were, which was that collectively bargaining for better wages and maybe some better healthcare is an immensely preferable alternative to dragging the fucking factory owner out in the middle of the street and curb stomping him to death in front of his family.
True.
Like, it's one or the other.
Well, you put it that way. It's very persuasive.
Yeah. But we're so far afield from that when you start talking to somebody about unions, everybody fucking rolls their eyes. God, yeah, and I don't like, I agree with that sentiment 100%.
Yeah,
I do. But
you see the flaws.
We don't have. You and I don't have representation.
No,
we're not going to get that through a Democrat. We're not going to get that through a Republican. We'd be really hard pressed to get it even through a Green or a Libertarian. I have a friend who was running for the Green Party presidential nomination. He's a guy from Baltimore named Ian Schlackman. He's absolutely adorable. I got to meet him over the week for the first time in person. Very lovely guy. And he dropped out because the Green Party went full 2016 Democrats in terms of how they were fucking over their candidates, how they were pushing aside and trying to fucking get rid of anyone who wasn't Howie Hawkins. who is their preferred fucking nominee. Howie Hawkins is a fucking Russiagator. Howie Hawkins is sitting there like, it's still to this day fucking blaming the Russians for the ills in our electoral process.
Jesus. I think you have to be really, really dense to still be like believing there's anything to that story.
You've got to be a part of this like DC bubble that you don't get to participate in electoral politics, let alone get invited to the good parties, unless you can quote verbatim like the major newspapers or the fucking like whatever bullshit is coming out on CNN or MSNBC. So in order to like survive in that element, I think they're so pressured to go along with the bullshit that it just becomes,
just what
they're
you
conditioned
say
to behave that way. Yeah. Now
I cannot imagine that state of being.
I believe that Howie Hawkins believes that the Russians done did it, and that just makes it more of a problem.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm concerned, the Green Party's a fucking psyop at this point.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like,
yeah, is try and get 5% of that ballot so they can get matching federal funds.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be an effective political party, you have to fucking get shit done at the local level.
True. Amen.
And they're not. They're just fucking not. So I don't have any faith in them at all. In fact, this year I'm a delegate for Adam Kokesh, who's a libertarian candidate for president.
So then if we watch like the progress of the Green Party over time, though, is that what's going to happen to the Libertarian Party as well? Is they're just going to get like fucking co-opted and psyoped and all fucked up? And
it comes and goes in cycles. It really does. And the Greens are much more open to the corruption because they're 100% laissez-faire capitalist.
True.
So whoever's got the best opportunity or the best fucking or the most fucking money to throw at them, they're going to, by and large, as an organization, not necessarily individual candidates, but as part of the platform, push that agenda. Kokesh is different. He's been a YouTuber for forever and fucking again, his platform is to abolish the federal government within 72 hours. So like I can get behind it.
I love this man already.
But yeah, he's been on the Free Assange vigils a few times. He was actually the very first person running for office to respond to Action for Assange. We had a giant, way too many people on the panel vigil where it was like him and that guy Ian Schlackman, and Tim Canova was on, and another guy named Johnny Axum, that like all of them had been fucked over by one party or another, but they all had a similar viewpoint on free speech and on Julian Assange. So like they had no problem getting together in that Zoom room to fucking, to talk about it. And that's one of the things that inspired us to do the signatures on the flag. It's one of the things that inspired us to be like, yo, we're going to make this specifically about moving the conversation to a post-partisan framing, because unless we have a free flow of information, and we can use WikiLeaks as an example because it's only primary source documents, only. And it's a release of those documents that you then, as the reader, get to form your own opinion on. But the one thing that you don't have to do is parse through the bullshit spin.
Yes, there's no editorializing. It's all just fucking there for you to make your own conclusion, which is what news is not anymore. That doesn't even exist. But I love this post-partisan idea. I love that that's what you're promoting and creating as you go. Is that phrase something that you guys came up with, or is that already in existence before? I've never heard that.
I'm pretty sure it's already in existence. I don't know. It's just that's probably how we landed on using it.
I love it. I don't know where it came from. This is the first time I've heard it, but I think we should make it like as big as possible as a concept.
Yeah, me too. And thank you. And please do. And to the people watching right now, please do the same, man. Like,
#postpartisan.
We don't get to we don't get to live in a world that has an outlet or a resource like WikiLeaks if we're allowed to extradite and prosecute Julian Assange under the Espionage Act. There's a lot
Yeah.
of people that think that like, oh, we just need to get him over here, and then he'll be able to fucking expose the demons, and he'll get his day in court, and he'll be able to fucking shed some light on this finally. And Donald Trump is really a white hat who's doing the right thing, and he's, you know, guaranteeing that Julian Assange will be able to, you know, bring down Hillary Clinton and fucking expose Seth Rich's murderer and all this shit. Like, if he gets here, and that's 100% bullshit, and here's why.
Yeah.
John Kiriakou is the man who disclosed the U.S. torture program in 2007. He did it live on the air on television. For that, he did 32 months in a federal prison. And that was a plea deal. He took a plea in espionage court, which is the Eastern District of Virginia, which is where Chelsea Manning and Jeremy Hammond are incarcerated, and it's where they will try Julian Assange with the same fucking judge, because that judge is still there.
Jesus.
The espionage court has a 100% conviction rate. When you go into the espionage court, because they're handling national security cases, it's a closed hearing. No reporters, nobody in the gallery. The judge, jury, by the way, because it's the Eastern District of Virginia, the jury is comprised entirely of people who are either related to, married to, or friends with people in the intelligence community. It is impossible to have an unbiased jury pool.
For sure.
So it's the judge, the jury, the defense team, and the prosecution, and that's it. Because it's a national security case. The fucking defense team isn't allowed to see a lot of the evidence that's being used against their client.
Because it's like top secret or some shit.
Yeah, because it's a national security case. The testimony becomes changed. When the jury gets a transcript to go over later in the jury room, words and phrases that are important to national security are taken out and replaced. They're either flat redacted, or instead of U.S. troops murdered civilians in Afghanistan, it will be something like, you know, bunnies found
carrots,
a garbage pile in the, you know, fucking storeroom or something, like just nonsense fucking words that no jury would ever be able to parse, let alone form a coherent thought about.
This doesn't even make sense.
So the notion that Assange would somehow get anything remotely approaching a fair trial, let alone the one that the Q crew believes will happen, is completely fucking farcical.
Yeah. Just to even consider like that anything that would happen to Julian Assange through the U.S. government would be fair is like underscores a deep misunderstanding of the nature of things.
Well, and it's counter reinforcing propaganda, because it allows the Q community to have the exact same viewpoint as centrist Democrats, but because it's framed differently, they'll still battle each other over it while agreeing with each other. You know, no. He doesn't need to just stay in England or die in the fucking Guantanamo Bay of the UK. We need to get him over here, and we need to get him charged over here. Like,
we need to get him free.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's just it's manufactured confusion. That's what it is.
I can't wait for this book. What is the future of this? When is that? Like, do you have a timeline or a goal for it, or how is this coming along?
I'm hoping by the end of the year, if not like shortly thereafter. I'm gonna be pretty fucking busy for the next several months.
I was gonna say you've got like a lot going on, so
we're gonna take the Free Assange Vigil to a live audience soon. We're going to start hosting teach-ins just to kind of get everybody caught up and hopefully get them activated. But the goal is to have one of the hosts of the show live in the room with the other two beaming in, and either a live panel if we can in that area, or the couple of guests that we usually have each week also beaming in. But being able to engage with people in person, and then being able to do like a question and answer session afterwards.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're going to
powerful.
start those up at the end of March, I believe.
That's rad. Where are you going to be doing those as of now? Or do you know?
We've got Portland, Denver, Cleveland, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Des Moines, Iowa, and DC.
Dude, I'll go to the Denver one.
Rad.
And make make my roommate come with me. That's you. That's you, Johnny. Okay, he's my boyfriend. I just like to joke. Yeah, we'll go
Nothing but love for you, Johnny.
I'll drag him up. He'll go with me too. We'll go up and do that. That sounds like fun. And help however we can. If it's helpful for you, let us know. So with all of that stuff going on, are there other goals for Slow News Day or other things that you have coming up?
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have a show here soon with that woman, Reverend Annie Chambers. I'm hopefully going to get her on a call with Enrique Tario from the Proud Boys a couple of weeks after. I can't fucking wait for that.
That's really cool.
I do have some plans to come up with some merch, and Johnny Bravado is the person who is providing the artwork for that.
Oh, my roommate?
Your roommate. Yeah. So I'm stoked. I'm stoked on that.
That's cool. That's gonna be exciting.
I would love to be able to break through the censorship algorithm enough to justify doing a live Slow News Day show like once a month. I suppose I could just talk to Barry and open up the studio and have people come in.
Yeah.
But it is hard to get people to Boulder Creek. And pretty much everyone in my town that's heard my show thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, but if you give them you just gotta throw in something free. Be like, free wine, and people will be like, oh, I'm gonna go to that thing tonight. That's happening. That's gonna be cool.
Oh, fuck yeah.
They don't even care what's gonna happen there.
Yeah. I really do. I think there should be chicken and conspiracies as a thing.
Yes.
All like at least twice a month. Some content creator in that sandbox should fucking do a live thing that's chicken and conspiracy.
That would be rad. Just so people have to face the fact that some people who are in this sphere are actually super sane, normal people that you can talk to face and not walk away dead or fucking abducted by aliens or whatever people think's gonna happen if they talk about these things. I don't even get why people think they can't talk about shit. I love it though. That's awesome. And so, where's the best way for people to be in touch with you or find more of you or connect with you? I think everyone here pretty much knows, but just in case.
So I'm on YouTube. If you go to the search bar and you type in Slow News Day podcast, you can find me. It's like A Tribe Called Quest. You got to type in the whole thing.
Yes.
Subscribe to the channel. You won't get notifications, but subscribe to the channel anyway. It'll be fun to watch you get removed. Yeah,
keep coming back and subscribe again every few weeks or whatever.
You can find me on Twitter at Slow News Day Show. Every Wednesday on the Action for Assange YouTube channel, I co-host the Free Assange Vigil along with Andrew Smith and Christy Dopp. And I'm occasionally on Facebook, but not that much. There's a Slow News Day page on Facebook, and I have an account on Facebook, but I really don't go there that often. So yeah, YouTube, Twitter. I'm going to be on. I finally got a fucking Restream account, so I'm going to be on Periscope and Twitch and a couple other platforms. And if you're into the Rockfin, look for me very soon on Rockfin.
That's exciting. I'm excited about that as a platform. That's really cool. And finally, what do you want to leave people with as your final words of wisdom as we're shutting things down?
I think we're going to circle back and say that sometimes tears make the best lube.
It's good advice. It's good wisdom. It's just profound truth to share with people. I love it. Awesome. Well, fellow travelers of the path, it is a beautiful thing. And this has been your analog, electric, concentric dose of wisdom, according to Steve Poikonen on a Slow News Day and the Julian Assange, oh my God, I'm butchering it. The Freedom for Assange Vigil. Is that what I say? Okay.
We'll go with that. Yeah. The Free Assange Vigil series.
Assange Vigil.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. It's so awesome to catch up with you and have you on Rogue finally on a one-on-one. So thanks for being here today and sharing all of that with us.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was great to talk to you.
Now go get some sleep because you deserve it and you've been working nonstop.
Oh yeah, and I have to go back to reality in real life and go back to work tomorrow.
That's so depressing. I'm sorry. But thank you for all you do. And there's a million ways to go, but only a few that lead to freedom. There's ideals that clash with realities, and there's 10 trillion nuanced details that will hold you up and strap you down, keeping you from action in the end. But it isn't perfection that we need to be after, and the best thing that we can do is the best we can with what we've got, where we're at. So don't give up and don't give in, and never buy what they're selling you, but do sell them your wares instead. And until you've got that market cornered, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah. And tears do make the best loop.
It's a one-on-one lesson, so do your homework. Make your dome hurt while up on earth. My bones are blessed from holy dirt. Vibes manifested to words that told me search for verbs and adjectives to describe birth. Worth more than one can speak. While the tongue beats a weak, a sour taste in your mouth, bittersweet. Words can also kill you when you sleep. Mind condition, low frequencies while the subconscious mind listens. I can tell a vision filled with lies disguised as truth, and spread it like the word to the youth. Watch the tube. A place where the God was booed is sorcery. To recreate a God forgery. There's more than me that meets the eye. Not too many know. Just hear me flow like the eye of Horus Penio. Yeah, not ready to leave until we believe we're free to go. You hear me, yo?
Sculpted from the ether, the material will eat ya. Stuck on this plane, lanes use jet fuel to greet ya. The dimensional three, hey, meet me on top of the fourth. Didn't climb Jacob's ladder to squab with a sword. Forged with ink drizzle, branched out, try quiet your lamps now. Ascension past the matter, that they slam out they damn mouths. We ain't on land now, but they over understand. Sacrificing wisdom, hoarding dumber, kosher, wicked hands. Putting faith in worthless worship of the mortals. Artificial portals, mass ingestion of the black goo. Bioengineered morsels, conversing with machine elves. Bypassing maggots, they stuck on Android screens now. I'm scrolling emerald tablets. Moloch living lavish, off the backs of the savage. Them clasp hands at the Sabbath. Smack of energy damage, they done twisted the tongues. With nanotech in the lungs, the awakening's begun. All they really can do is fucking run.